I wasn't.
Here we go. All right.
You know, in those days, you had secretaries, right?
All right, we're live. Good evening. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the North Branford Conservation and Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Agency to order. Again, this meeting on Wednesday, December 13th, 2023 at approximately 6:30 p.m. Next I'd like to do is do a roll call of everyone seated here this evening. We have regular members Bob Wetworth, Frank Borgato, Ashley Joyner, and Jerry Fishbach. We have, to my right, we have Marie Diamond, who is our liaison with the town council. We have David Perkins, our town planner and wetlands administrator, and I'm Steve Scavo, I'm chairman for this evening's meeting. Next, I'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
What was that? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You okay?
Yeah, just some fun. Had some grain in me.
I know, so you don't ever forget. Okay, next we're going to move on to item 3 minutes. We have minutes of November 15th, 2023. So does anyone have any comments, revisions, or?
I have some revisions.
Yes,
So
sir.
on page 3, it's second paragraph. It says, Member Borgano stated that some places have puddles and even wetlands are not always obvious. I don't believe I said puddles. I think I said vernal pools. But if you scratch that, just stated that.
Well, vernal pool, I see it, yep.
Yeah, even wetlands are not always obvious or something like that. That'd be better.
So we'll scratch out puddles and put vernal pool. I think I remember you saying that, okay?
And then the paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down that begins Chairperson Scavo. It should say the second sentence there, it says, and use seed mix and then put signs. It should say put wetland signs.
And
Okay.
Wetland sign on the trees, yes.
because that comes up again.
Yeah, that comes up again. Okay. And then under C, the second paragraph, it says I'm going to kill the name, Ferrino brought
yes.
Ferrino brought the survey, which is attached to the survey. It was attached to the application. Not the survey. And I don't think I caught the other. Oh, and then I don't think I caught the other one that you mentioned. But then on the page 5, the next to last paragraph where it begins, Member Borgano, it says, is there any way to give and update? It should be AN, not AND. And then the sentence that begins, it's a WTF group. I don't think that's what we correct. It says it's a WTF group, a track that connects one property to another, and an outlet is in Marjorie Drive. That didn't make sense to me. So
I didn't understand it either.
So that sentence should be corrected.
So what do you want to say, Frank? How would you want to correct it?
I honestly don't know. I mean, I
don't remember. Okay.
I don't remember. It just didn't read right to me.
Yeah. No, I agree. Well, maybe we can modify it, and then we can always review it and accept it at the next
meeting. Yeah, that's.
Why don't we do that, because this is a lot of updates. So
and I'll give you this, David, so you have. But I did miss the other one.
One more. The last paragraph where it says Member Borgano wanted to share a concern about the signs on the vote property. The signs designating wetlands, or the wetland signs, because I got confused as I was reading it myself until I read on.
Okay,
that's right. And this is really for the public as well.
Right. All right, so noted. All right, so then maybe we can make these revisions and just in the next meeting we'll double check them, right? Don't you think? Because there's. All right. Is that all right, Dave? We'll just. Yeah. That way it's just easier to fix them, and then we'll just. There's no need to have a motion today. Then, if we're okay with that, we'll just table. I guess we should have a motion to table the minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I make a motion to table the minutes so they can be corrected to the next meeting.
All right. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, we'll table those minutes barring the revisions that that Frank Romagano had pointed out to us. Very good. All right, so next we're gonna go on to old business, and I see there is no old business. So we're gonna move on to item 5, new business. Item A, application 2023-8, 730 Forest Road, site plan. Construction of a proposed contractor storage facility with associated parking, loading, and circulation space, stormwater management, and parking lot modifications in the upland review area. Owner applicant, Aniello and Leah Salino.
For the record, Brian Panico with Harry Cole & Son, 876 South Main Street in Plantsville. So just really quick, I'll go over this and then we'll get into the details. So the
Sure.
upper presentation board there is the updated version with the DEP discussion.
Okay.
And then the lower is what the original application in front of you was.
Gotcha.
So we'll get into so the subject parcel is 730 Forest Road. This is now a B1 zone. Zone change was approved on this, changing it from R40 residential to B1. Parcel's located along CT Route 22, Forest Road, which is to the east, the Farm River, land zoned residential to the south. Tucket Road is to the north, and then there's additional residential land to the west. I think everybody's probably fairly familiar with this property. This is the old Amato's property. So the building had burned down. So what's remaining there is essentially the parking lot, foundation, and there are the parcel is 2.86 acres. There are a little over 18,000 square feet of wetlands, about an acre of upland review area, and a little over an acre of Farm River upland review. And obviously, you can see on this map, so what we've done is the purple outline, or the purple dashed line is the upland review, the 100-foot upland review. And that's this one here. There is another small pocket of wetlands off property there. That's why that upland review extends into the property, even though there's no wetlands on this property for that, but it is actually upland area. And then the darker blue dashed line along here is the 200-foot Farm River buffer, or upland review, I should say. So, light green shading on the map in this kind of southeast corner there is the wetlands. The center of the Farm River is the property line in the very southeast there, and then the Farm River is off property directly to the east where it goes under Route 22. So with this proposal, our proposal is to construct an 8,700 square foot commercial contractor storage facility. The development is all within the already cleared area of the site. So there's no additional tree clearing being proposed. And actually we are proposing to remove and mitigate about 11,000 square feet of pavement, most of it being directly in the vicinity of the upland review where the tree clearing has already been done. There's no alteration to the floodplain or floodway, and we are proposing about 5,000 square feet again of seeding, planting directly between the parking lot and the tree line, and then partially into the tree line, and that's in this area specifically. So the major change on this plan from what was originally submitted, we got a couple emails and phone calls from the DEP Fisheries Division, and they had concerns basically going back with the email, through the emails and everything. The concern is that there's a small sliver of property where the existing driveway crosses what is DEP property. And it's unclear as to when the taking was done for that. DOT transferred that land to DEP. Most likely, there was a taking done by DOT at some point to take that land to potentially expand the bridge if ever necessary. That was done, the transfer from DOT to DEP was done in 1975. So it's unclear as to whether they actually gave passway easement and any rights to the subject property when all of that taking occurred. Moving on from that, the next problem was DEP uses this property to stock the Farm River. There's no easements in place that actually allow DEP to use this property to stock the Farm River, and there's also no rights for anyone from the public to use this property to park there and go fish, which, as we know, a lot of people do. So in the best interest of both to continue with the recreational nature of the area, DEP requested that we try to come up with a good solution. There's obviously maintenance and other requirements if they continue to own that strip of land. So it was the proposal from DEP today was made to basically do a small land swap, give DEP some more area along the riverbank that would directly connect or almost directly connect to the paved area so that they could, and then an easement as well, so that they could basically come in here with their vehicles and stock the river without any legal issue.
And will that also include the ability for fishermen to park and fish there?
Correct. So what we kind of said going back and forth, and there was a question as to, and this is more of a zoning related issue, is there enough parking on the site? And we said, well, there's probably not enough parking for this facility. And then if you had, 3 or 4 people come there to fish, now you're going to start intermingling the parking, and then it becomes issues with tenants and the public. So DEP requested that we add some parking spaces along to the east there, closer to the driveway, and then dedicate those with signage for fishing and recreation. And so that's kind of what we did. Applicant was more than willing and happy to do it. And so that's how we've arrived at the plan, which is before you today. We did get, I don't know if the email went out, DEP did review the plans. They did look at everything, and they were in favor of the plan.
Okay, they were, so you have their, okay, that was my,
We didn't get
my
those
first
recently.
question. Yeah, we didn't realize that. That's
Yeah,
good.
so,
Yeah,
from
that's good.
basically, we were looking at it from both trying to maintain as much recreational nature as possible, as well as much environmental protection as possible. Currently, the site has a couple of catch basins in a flared end that basically just take all the water from the site and drain directly into the river. That flared end is located here, so it's about 10 feet, 15 feet, give or take, from the edge of the river. So any storm water is not being treated. It's just literally going from the parking lot
A direct shot in there,
directly
yeah,
into
You can see
there.
that from the road.
And so what we're proposing to do is essentially eliminate all of that infrastructure and abandon that pipe. So that came up with DEP as well. We're not proposing to remove that pipe because obviously that would require work within
Right.
15 feet of the wetland and would probably cause more disturbance than, the benefit of it. And so they would basically dig it up, cut it off at a certain point, fill that one end with concrete, and just leave that remaining section of pipe alone. And by doing that, we essentially take all the sheet flow from that parking lot. We have a filter strip that's sized accordingly to provide water quality for that entire parking lot. And so it provides a little bit of detention. Obviously, like I said, we're reducing the amount of impervious on the site by about 11,000 square feet. So detention on the site isn't required. We are reducing the flow off-site of this property using these water quality measures. But that infiltration strip provides water quality. So any of the water as it comes off that parking lot is filtered through that infiltration strip. Some of it's allowed to infiltrate. It's going to pick up the solids and start to take the sediment out before that water then continues to sheet flow back and recharge the wetland. We've also proposed another water quality basin, and that's in this area right here. And so that'll take all the water from the swale on the backside of the building, as well as where that little storage area is. So that'll collect anything that potentially is, blown that direction or any runoff off of that. It'll collect in that water quality basin as well.
So, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just, what little storage area are you talking about?
It's right here,
Was it? Oh, okay.
the water
Okay.
quality basin. That's
All
the
right, so
second
you
one.
weren't
That's
referring,
the
you
second
weren't
one.
referring to material storage during the construction phase. That's on one of the other charts.
No, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So basically, the water that would normally just sheet flow right through that big pipe, you're going to mitigate a lot of that and hopefully pre-treat it. So it should be an improvement of water quality, which would certainly be wonderful for the Farm River, knowing what we know now with the
Correct.
fish stock and everything. Okay. And could you just show me where the proposed parking, I understand you, and I support what you did, I think it's great with the swap. Where exactly will be the parking for the fishermen and the stocking trade, just so I can get an idea, you know?
Yeah, so this was the original plan. We kind of just
Right.
tied into the driveway.
Right,
And what we did was, we had essentially just extended that parking on an angle to still maintain access from the driveway. And these first parking spaces here will be dedicated.
so if you come off 22, it'll be to the left, is what you're saying? That,
Yeah.
okay, that area, okay, just, that's what I thought, I just wanted to try and
And
figure
we
out.
figured the first couple parking spaces there, that way, you know, there's not too much traffic crossing.
And is that already paved, basically, or is it, or you have to, you don't have to, I guess my next question, you don't have to really do any excavation for any of this, right? It's pretty level, or it's pretty?
That's pretty level in that area. There is a small amount of, that would have to be paved in that one location. The remaining portion of that entire parking lot is essentially going to be, is already paved. It
Right.
would just be actually cutting the edge of
So you're
pavement.
adding a little pavement, but you're removing, you're
Quite a
actually,
bit.
the net total, you're actually removing the impervious, so, but I mean, you won't have to dig or excavate it, it's basically kind of just whatever you have to do to pave that, right? It's not
Yeah,
like you
so-
don't have to excavate and take fill out or level it or do anything, you know, because it's so close to the farm river.
Yeah, so the
We
only
might
spot where they
minimize
really,
that.
where they would really have to be doing the digging and excavation would be obviously, would be for the building portion of it, just this
And
portion.
the
of
building portion is that, I assume that's the yellow part,
Yeah,
okay.
correct. And then where the storm drainage system is up in here, obviously, we're gonna remove that, we'll actually physically remove that portion from the site. So the catch basin's the pipe in that location. And again, somewhere in this area, when they're doing this paving, that's likely the spot where that portion of pipe, where that flared end is, will be abandoned and filled with concrete.
So now, I appreciate, you know, what you've done, it's an improvement, but I just have a question on the contractor's building, just curious, so what is it gonna be an enclosed building, and what will be probably going in there? Do you have a use?
So the idea is that this is essentially for a variety of contractors. So it's a very flexible space, large overhead doors, and then a man door. So you could park equipment in there. You could put, material storage, stuff like that. Basically, in the discussion with the applicant and the town and everything was, there's a lot of people currently who own small commercial companies who are parking their equipment at their house, which technically by zoning regulation isn't allowed. But you kind of have to do that if there's no actual place for you to put your equipment or park your equipment. So the idea is that this is going to be kind of a net benefit to
Oh, sure.
the town.
I guess what I'm
people like
getting at, I assume this will be, there'll be a poured slab, right? 'Cause
Correct.
if you're moving a lot of trucks and things, there's chance for oil and fuel spillage, so is there anything
And
that's
any
gonna
other
be done
material.
inside to mitigate that, you know?
that. So there will be no floor drains on the building. Uses, and as far as uses go, you couldn't put like an auto body repair
Well, that's
type
what
of
I'm at,
thing.
obviously, we
in
wouldn't want
this facility.
a garage or something where you're gonna be removing oil and other
Correct, so
chemicals.
any oils or stuff like that, any spillage, that would be, maybe like a.
Minimal, you're saying?
A very minimal situation, and more likely than not, the drippings that we're talking about is like the everyday drippings that are coming from kind of all traffic and generally any parking lot. So nothing that specifically would be like, done more because of a specific use in the facility. And then obviously the applicant, if he's renting to somebody who owns a lawn care service and they change their oil inside of the building, they're going to be responsible for having a spill plan. So if they do spill oil, you have your spill kit, you have your plan, you have all these things in place. And if there was a large enough spill outside of the building, obviously the applicant would have a professional company come and actually physically clean that.
So you said a couple things, lawn care. So does that mean that the lawn care company could store pesticides and fertilizers and things like that in the building?
As long as it's done responsibly, yeah. So just like any homeowner can go and buy, pesticides or lawn
Yeah,
care
but-
equipment and store it in their
But
garage.
if you're a business, you're gonna have significant quantities, and then when you say done responsibly, who's gonna be the supervisor to make sure that it's done responsibly? Are you, as the owners of this building, gonna take responsibility for that?
So I think that, effectively, we're talking about, you're worried about pesticides, somebody storing them in the facility and then
I'm worried about
potentially
them
them
getting
leaching.
into the river, right.
Leaching into the river. So liquid pesticides leaking and spilling and leaching into the river. So again, same idea as, you know, your gas stations and everybody else with their spill kits and their preparedness stuff.
But this gas station, you know who the owner is, and they're
Yeah.
responsible. Now you have somebody who owns this, that's not tenant there, and he's renting out a series of garages to people that can do whatever they want, and that owner is not gonna know what they're doing. So there has to be somebody has to be responsible, or there has to be some type of restrictions as to what can be stored. It just can't be, oh, okay, I'm gonna rent it to Joe's Landscaping Service, and they're gonna fill it up to the brim with all sorts of pesticides and herbicides and things like that, or oil or gas or anything else. That's a major issue as far as I'm concerned. The other thing that you haven't brought up is outside storage.
Yep.
Is that gonna be allowed?
So we do have bins set up. That's what this portion was here. An idea behind that would be for storage of, you know, a variety of things, mulch, topsoil.
So the 200 buffer line, that is the, just point that again, I just want to make sure, is that out, is that storage outside that? Okay. Okay,
Bins are
just trying to get an
outside.
idea, so that's a 200-foot line, the
200-foot line.
large purple hash, okay.
Correct.
Can I ask why the building was designed where it is instead of shifted back further to get outside of the 200-foot line?
The building setbacks.
Except that the original foundation that's there could have been shifted back to the original foundation, but that still wasn't done.
So shifting this whole building
Yep,
this
that way.
direction.
Yep.
Honestly, we were trying to do that to minimize the paved surface. So if we shift that building up, you know, effectively all of this area that is paved, we would just have more paved surface and more impervious surface.
I understand that, but it also keeps the building outside of the 200-foot line. And then the second thing with the bins that you have proposed down here,
Yep.
is that already paved area?
I believe the pavement extends to about through here. So it comes this direction and then comes up. So this small little portion here isn't paved, and then there's a small portion here
Okay,
that is not paved.
because that one is really close to the 100 line, so that one would concern me too.
What's the actual elevation of the building above the river?
Above the flood stage.
I believe,
Don't care about the flood stage because that changes.
I know, but if chemicals are in there, that's a problem.
Yeah, but
so the river is about at elevation 124, the building finished floor is 132. So you're
24 to 30.
8 feet above.
8 feet. You know the river better than I do.
And if I may, I would argue the building itself being within the 200-foot farm river review, the building would be the last thing I would be concerned about. I would be more concerned with pavement and whatnot within that. Most of your contaminants are going to come off of pavement before they come off of the actual building. And that's why we went to such great lengths to, you know, kind of try to filter and minimize the amount of runoff directly from that paved surface. Roof water we generally consider to be clean water.
So speaking about the runoff, you talked about the filtration strip.
Yep.
Now, somewhere in here, it said that there was minimal maintenance required. But what actually is the maintenance required on that filtration strip or any other part of the system?
So essentially is to just clean out debris. And then if you had large amounts of sediment piling up, then you would have to actually physically go. There's companies that actually can vacuum that sediment out, or you would remove the stone and then replace it with washed stone, or clean the stone and replace it.
Does the strip itself ever have to be replaced?
No, because the strip is essentially just a stone lined trench, so that we're allowing that water to kind of freely pass through and infiltrate after it's had a chance to run through there.
How many sublettable units are expected to be in this complex?
So right now, we currently have it designed for 10, and that's with relatively large size units, because we felt that was the most appropriate for kind of the tenants in the spaces that we're thinking.
And will each one of these have restrooms?
I believe each one will have its own individual small bathroom, and that's it. So it'll be just essentially a toilet and a sink and a unit heater probably for each unit.
So this unit site will have well water and septic then, is what you're
Correct.
saying, right?
Yep.
Now, I saw the plans for the new septic system. Does that have to go through East Shore?
Correct.
Yes.
Yep, it's been submitted
And
to East Shore.
East Shore will be asking how many people it needs to service, is that correct?
Correct, yep. And so right now, currently, the system that's on site, which was redone, and everything, essentially what we've proposed to do is eliminate the oil water separator, the pump chamber that's there, and the tank that's there, and replace the tank and the pump chamber. Obviously, there's no longer a food service use in this building, and so the oil water separator is not necessary. But we've proposed that to basically run to those new, the leach fields, which will obviously have to be verified that all of those leach fields are still in good working order prior to doing this with test pits and stuff like that. But because the original building was a catering and banquet hall, and that's what the system was designed for, it's about 4 times as large as it actually needs to be for 10 units of storage.
Well, the question is, was the system really designed for that, or did the system actually just go in there, as often was the case back in that long ago? And
This was a VFW.
yeah, and I'm thinking with 10 units there, and let's say, I'm thinking of the landscaping unit, company that I use, you know, they have about 10 employees coming and going.
Yep.
So if you have, out of 10 units, let's say an average of 4 or 5 people per unit going in and out of this place, you know, are you designing a septic system that can theoretically handle 40 people?
Yeah, so essentially, the system that is in place now is a green leach system that was put in, I think, back in 2008 or so. So it's not the original system that was done with the original building. That system was all redone. And so that's the system that we're proposing to tie into. That system was designed for the catering and banquet facility, and I want to say, off the top of my head, it was somewhere like 4,000 gallons per day was the design size of that system. And with the 10 units that we have, very conservatively, we're basically saying 1,000 gallons per day would be our use average, and that would be 100 gallons per unit per day, which effectively with low flow toilets and stuff today means you're flushing the toilet, 10 times. Every single unit is flushing the toilet, 10 to 15 times a day.
Okay.
So East Shore obviously is going to validate that.
Yep.
Could you show me where that is currently exists? I'm just curious. I didn't see, I can see it right there. Oh, I got you. I see it over there.
Here, so we're proposing to basically eliminate
Okay.
2 of those, utilize one of those rows, and then preserve another one.
So it looks like that's out of the 200-foot buffer.
Correct, it's up in the Totucket corner.
I thought it was up top there.
Yeah, it's just outside of it.
Gotcha.
So on my map, it says that the outside storage is actually gravel, not paved.
Correct,
Are you planning on remaining gravel?
correct.
Yes, okay.
And are you going to restrict what can be stored there since it's going to be gravel?
And what can drive back there, because
Yeah.
that's close to the 100-foot, not the 200-foot.
I guess the question would be is what kind of restrictions do you have in mind?
No chemical, first of all.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, this wouldn't be chemical storage. We're not going to let people go and store chemicals
These are going to be
outside.
the block ones.
These are the block bins, essentially.
How high up, 6 foot?
6 foot, yeah.
Is this like mulch and things you're talking about?
Mulch and
Okay,
and
so we're
things
not
like
talking
that,
about
or even
salt or other
potentially.
things that would leach into the water, okay.
Stones, things of
So
that
stone,
nature.
Correct.
impervious stuff that would, okay.
Yeah, and again, the concept behind putting the second water quality basin behind that is that, if you did have a material like mulch, it gets wet, it does sometimes, you get some of the mud and some of the dirt that leaches out of it. It leaches between those bins, it's gonna leach into that water quality basin, allow those to settle out.
That's not as horrible. My big worry is, because the big thing today, everyone uses salt, and a lot of these companies plow in the winter, and they usually, sometimes they'll dump a big load of salt that they pull off of. So I just want to make sure that, that's something we might want to
Yep.
restrict, definitely, because that would be the most common outdoor, you can put other bad things, but I'm saying, I know a lot of
No,
companies do
and-
that, and that might not be the best area for it.
And I know that I think that the applicant's, Neil is here with us tonight. I think he would be, more than willing to tell you, he would be more than willing to restrict, storage of chemicals outside. I'm not sure that that's allowed under the regulations. I think that there's limitations to what can be stored outside.
True,
It can't
but
be stored outside anyway.
We
but
like to just make it
Absolutely.
firm, like a special
Absolutely.
condition, because some people interpret it, like you said, because like as Frank said, it's the best intention of the owner, but you have different people going there, they just need to know that, what they can and can't do. I mean, we're not
Yeah.
trying to totally restrict their business, but we just don't want anything getting into
Absolutely.
obviously the Farm River for
Absolutely.
obvious reasons.
And furthermore, going back to, fertilizers, chemicals being stored inside of the building, there are building codes that that restrict quantities and limits. Obviously, a lot of fertilizers and chemicals are also very flammable and explosive and very dangerous. A lot of that kind of stuff wouldn't be allowed to be stored in the building with mixed occupancy like this for the safety of other occupants and of the other members.
But things like, obviously we want a machine shop in there because they use solvents like benzene and all kinds of toxic stuff. I mean, that, I'd like to see we probably want to restrict some of that, maybe
Yeah.
spell it out in our special conditions.
Swimming pool chemicals, for example, swimming pool chemicals, for example, shouldn't be there. I mean, I'm still, I understand spill kits and all that, but I also understand it's nice to say that, but you can't assume that any tenant is gonna have a spill kit for anything. So I like to know who is gonna be personally responsible to make sure that the tenants comply with all safety of spill kits, and that he takes responsibility for this.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, it's the owner of the building, so that would be the applicant. He's responsible for the building and everything that goes on the building and the property. And I believe, would be a very responsible owner to the building.
Excuse me, because you do realize the Farm River is a major water supply for the Southeast Regional Water Authority, the Central Water Authority, and we can't have it get contaminated because we're having a storage facility there.
Absolutely, and they've actually also reviewed these plans. I don't know if that letter went out to you guys. They've reviewed these plans, and they didn't voice any concern of any of that as well.
Right.
But in cases like this with the Farm River
Absolutely.
especially, where I just think we're gonna restrict certain things, which it shouldn't even be an issue, because why would anyone want to have certain chemicals and things that could contaminate the Farm River? So we're gonna
Well,
spell
and
it out.
not only that, but again, I don't think the applicant wants to have any tenants with
Oh, no, I
anything
don't-
that could potentially be dangerous to anybody, his investment either.
It usually, as it goes in a lot of these cases, the owner usually is very responsible, but as Frank said, all it takes is one rogue person in there,
That's for the existing.
without a care in the world, saying, I'm just gonna do what I wanna do, and we just need to know, we have to have some recourse to make sure it doesn't happen.
And normally, on any application that we approve, that even a backyard shed that's in the 100-foot or even in the 200-foot, we put in special conditions all the time saying absolutely no fertilizers or chemicals or gasoline.
Minimize it, right.
Storage in the shed.
Yeah.
In this case, that wouldn't happen, but there has to be certain restrictions.
Absolutely.
And I think we have, this is gonna take a lot of thought.
Yeah, I think we'll have
To
to
do it
develop
right.
some special conditions, for what we,
I don't think we can do it on the spot.
No, that's one of the things I have two questions. The foundation of the existing building, is that gonna be taken out?
Correct.
Okay. Then the other question is mainly for my colleagues here. Do we consider this a significant enough activity that we should have a public hearing on it?
I definitely think we need to do some more work with the special conditions. I don't want to just wing them like, on a smaller project. I think we need to give some more thought in it, But that's a good question. I don't know, everyone can feel free to express yourself now if you think,
Well, I'm concerned because of because it's not a really defined, it's defined use as a storage facility, but it's not defined what's gonna go in the storage facility. And that's gonna change not only potentially from month to month, but year to year, right? So long-term, we don't know who's the occupant's gonna be 5, 10 years from now in any of those units. So to me, that makes it a significant activity, especially to its proximity to the Farm River. And I'm concerned about protecting the Farm River.
I originally, when I came in here, I thought this was going to be one company. I thought this whole thing was for one company. And this, and I came in here, I will admit, I came in with somewhat negative attitude about this, but you've addressed all of my concerns very well. And I feel pretty good about it, except the fact that I don't know how one can control 10 tenants.
That's what I'm worried about too. And I'm worried about, you may have a list of 10 tenants now, but that's gonna change. But the Farm River and its use and application and its vitalness to our community and to our region is not gonna change. And we can't risk it getting damaged by what happens to be stored in that building. And that's a major concern I have.
Understood.
We're not.
So as the tenants move in and the tenants move out, they really should be getting a zoning permit. And we have a tenant fit up form as well. So typically a new tenant will come in and hopefully we're aware of it. I mean, that's a problem. But if a new tenant comes in, technically they need a zoning permit.
Would they? Why?
Why?
Well, because we need to know what the use is that they're conducting in there. Because they may very well come in
But
and
the use
say,
is quote-unquote storage.
That
Well,
wouldn't
not
happen,
every-
though, if we were not in proximity to the Farm River.
no, it still does, yeah.
Because not every use is allowed in the B1 zone either. So that's why, like I said, you couldn't have an auto body repair because I don't believe that's allowed in a B1 zone
Right, somebody may
specifically.
move in there with an auto repair business, and I would come out and say, you can't do that.
Okay,
we
so
try to-
So-
that's one of our recourses then to prevent something, a
Correct.
use that's not approved in a B1, I guess is what I'm saying.
So could the owner of the facility take the responsibility of seeing that they only rent to proper tenants?
The owner of the building should require the tenants to get a zoning permit prior to
Okay, I guess that's,
moving in.
so in other words, no one should be able to sneak in there and say, I got in here, boy, without you, the town knowing about it, is what you're saying. Every single time, there has to be a new zoning permit. That's educational, that's good. I didn't realize that.
But frequently they don't, if they don't get a permit and I don't know about it, then.
Yeah, that's the
That's
big
the problem.
issue with
That's-
all of this. It's all
If-
this
if-
assuming.
If you're getting a permit every time, that would make us feel a lot better, because at least you could validate the use, because some people maybe, there's always gray area in everything. People think that
Well, I
they're,
think with a new building and a new owner, when it gets to planning and zoning as well, they can put that caveat on, as well as you bring that caveat on to ensure that the owner does get zoning permits
Sure.
for all uses in the building.
Is the owner present?
yes, he think he wants to speak. Come
Yeah.
up here, sir, you can speak. No, just identify yourself for the, I saw your hand, I was just coming to, just identify yourself for the record and go right ahead.
Neil Salino, 730 Forest Road. I think that these are all great questions, which I am concerned too. It wouldn't be just a simple fix in my lease contract, write the regulations. If you're a landscaper, you can have no more than X amount of fertilizer stored, and then they sign, and then it's their responsibility if they don't listen to my lease.
We're gonna definitely.
Every tenant will have a lease they gotta sign,
Right, and no, that's great.
So instead of, them lying to Tom, it was all written right there. I could have my attorney print up a lease, all of the rules you want me to follow by. And once I sign, it's their responsibility, and that's how it'll be prevented.
Well, and we appreciate that's another layer to help do this, because we're gonna state these we put special conditions on every application. And the things we just talked, there's gonna be no surprises. We're gonna put some of these in there, these restrictions that I think we all agree on. But again, even with all that, you can do everything, and again, like, as, David said, if he gets a zoning permit, we just wanna, you understand the sensitivity of this area.
I absolutely
Your project,
understand.
and we appreciate, what
And
you've
they're all
done
great
with Deep.
questions too, though.
No, but I'm
not
saying, it's made me feel a little better hearing everything what happened with Deep
Right.
and just, and the application. But that nagging thought is still there of, we just want to do everything we can to make sure that a rogue tenant can't go in there and just, circumvent all of this and cause a major, because once something spills in the river, you can't go back.
Correct.
And, you know, we're all liable for that if we allow that to happen.
Yeah, and
So-
I think I want to point out, I mean, it's on the news every day, PFAS and all these other chemicals that go into the water. You, as the owner of the building, would have responsibility if they have a chemical that goes in the water, right? And all you have to do is read the newspaper, and if that chemical gets in the water, especially if it's a carcinogen or suspect carcinogen, you could be under a huge liability without having control of it.
Right.
Because you own the building and you let them get in there, and you can't assume they're gonna follow what you say. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I've been assumed doesn't work for me. So as long as you understand that, because that, like I said, the solution to pollution is not dilution. So if they can't think they're gonna put it in there, because today we're dealing with parts per trillion for PFAS chemicals, for example. So if they have, for example, some PFAS chemicals like a firefighting foam, right? Which we may not think of putting on the list, and that gets in the river, could potentially contaminate all of the water. And if you pull out the consumer confidence report for the New Haven area right now, there are none of those chemicals in there, or real small quantities of them. And this could be a major issue. So it sounds really weird, maybe,
Right.
but it's reality of the world today, because look at the lawsuits against 3M and DuPont and all those companies.
Right.
So you keep that in mind.
And the fact that you're willing to, the biggest thing you can do as the owner, anytime you change an occupant, you know, you really definitely refer them, say, look, before we do anything, you gotta refer them to our town, you know, our representative, which would be David right now, and then they could, you know, get the zoning permit and then establish the use. I mean, that's one of the best things you could do to help us, obviously, as the owner. You know, just keep us posted. We're not trying to tell people not to use it or whatever, but we just need to know what it is, you know, obviously.
Well, I like the idea of what Dave brought up about as one of the key pieces that any of the tenants have to have, what was it, a zoning review? Is that how you put it?
They need a zoning permit, and we fill out what we call a tenant fit-up form.
Yeah, I like that idea because that gives us some.
That gives us a little more teeth, at least. I mean, you can't nothing's 100%, but I didn't realize every tenant had to do that.
And as part of that review, the building official and the fire marshal go out and inspect the property.
Can they do that unannounced?
It's part of this, the fire marshal certainly can. He'll inspect it every year.
So can that actually be put into the lease as well, saying that the town official could, you know, ask for access to your facility at
Fire
any
marshal
time?
has
Fire
access
marshal,
to a
yeah.
commercial
Okay.
facility anytime.
There's no special condition. If he
See-
needs to get there, he can get in there, gotcha.
There was nothing in the application that gave us the idea that this was like a condo, you know, contractor's condo. If that were not the case, I think you would have had approval already.
Yeah, I didn't understand it was gonna be 10 garages,
Yeah, I didn't
basically.
either.
Right, so it kind of changes everything, and I think I speak for everyone when
No,
I
I
say
agree.
we work with you as much as we can to get this ironed out.
Because we definitely want businesses in our town, obviously. I mean,
I
we're
mean, I would love to
pro-business.
have somebody come and take the whole, but I don't think that anybody will do that.
I think it's a great idea. I'd like to.
Actually, me and Tom put it on, it was a great idea, right? We should get a lot of phone
Well, it
calls.
solves a whole lot of problems for me.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're concentrating dangerous stuff.
I know,
in
that's
this
the
place,
problem, and it's so close to the road.
Yeah, but you're getting it out of a lot of unregulated places
Right.
in the meantime.
Yeah, I think
Solves
it's, I mean, look at how many, over the years, how many places that we went to residential areas where they were having businesses there and they had chemicals and things. So I mean, I
all
think
these-
it's a great idea.
Right, because all these things are sitting on lawns and gravel, and anything that spills is gone. It's in the, you know, it could be in the water.
Yeah,
At least
no,
here,
I
there is
agree.
some mitigation, you know, so I mean, it is
But I
definitely
think if the
improvement.
fire marshal gets involved, I mean, and checks, I mean, and I think,
Especially facilities like this, the fire marshal.
yeah, I think that's a great way of solving it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, if they can't
How about
inspect
outside
the
storage?
stuff, they're just spec them for the
how
fire
are you gonna manage that? Are they people allowed to park their trucks and equipment outside overnight? Or are you gonna say everything's gotta be in the building take your car and walk.
Or limited at least.
Yeah, you can't say, I know, if you
I
have
know, at
employees.
least, I was thinking like 2 like trucks per, shop,
Outside.
Or put one in, and we'll need one out, I don't,
And do we have parking for trucks laid out in the lot?
We don't have it specifically laid out. We left enough circulation space. That's why.
I
the parking lot
would
is
think
so
you want
large.
it, if you're gonna have
Lay that out.
outdoor parking, you wanna lay it out on the plan.
Plus, on planning zoning, that's a requirement, you have to have so many spaces per, right? Obviously, they have to come to planning and zoning and with their application.
And
get
some of those
approval, right?
spaces won't be within the 100 foot.
Right, right, true,
So-
that's true,
Get it on the plan now, so
right, yeah.
we know where it is. And how are you gonna manage those, stockpile bays? Is it one for all and all for one, or? are they gonna get
I was just thinking, we're on the left side, the last.
Yeah, but he's
Yeah.
asking, if
Business,
somebody
you got it,
rents
right?
it,
Yeah.
how is it gonna be protected from not being taken?
You would lease them, wouldn't you, you only have, what, 5 storage
Six.
bins, 6?
6.
So only if it were,
So I think essentially the concept behind it is, again, the concept of, landscape companies, stone, topsoil, mulch, stuff like that. They rent a bay, and they could use that. So and then as Neil and I were just talking, or have been talking, so far the most interest has actually been carpenters, storing equipment, material, stuff like that inside of the building. But again, landscape company comes in, a carpenter is not going to have much of a reason to use those storage bays.
I see it more as a landscape.
But it's a landscaping, kind of outdoor
And
type
if
of
it's
use.
contained, that's fine, and again, you can even in addition to the concrete, I've seen silt fence things put around it to make sure, like, especially if you put topsoil there, not that it's directly a toxic, it's not, but you don't want it filtering into the stream, anything could happen in a severe rain event. I'm not sure the exact slope there, but even though it's out of the 100-foot buffer and the 200, we still can regulate things outside that if we think it's deemed as a threat. So, just every little bit will help, prevent erosion or.
the water won't shed into those storage bins.
I'm trying to look, is that a fairly level area? I'm just trying to understand the elevation.
Correct.
I can't.
So that's fairly level. And essentially, that swale is designed to go around that. and
Okay, so that'll catch a lot of the water, so.
And this is fairly level.
Okay.
So
So it's not gonna be a huge wash coming from the back of
correct,
the
and
property
from,
down there.
from a
Okay.
usability perspective, it
Okay.
needs to be as level.
Just asking, because these are all things that we're concerned about, so, thank you.
Is there any reason we need to notify the residential neighbors that abut up to it in the back, for example, off of Tucket there?
We're,
Aren't those residential?
Yes, they are.
So have they been notified of this
No.
action yet?
unless it's.
No, but even if you don't deem it a significant activity and you want to have a public hearing, you can always do that.
Right. And we have to do that if it's a public hearing, right? We've always had to.
If it's a significant
Civic
activity,
activity.
you have to have a.
Right, that's right, I know, we've always, that's part of our regulations, yeah.
But you can have a public hearing whenever you want.
I know it's been in the paper, at least I saw the articles in the paper, so you have to assume that they read the paper.
Well, and also, everybody was notified for the zone change, and they all saw effectively
okay.
this same presentation.
So there was a notification, they would have seen that obviously, if there was any interest or concern, David would have got calls, I'm sure, or sometimes residents come to us when they see us out and about, it happens. But I've not, I don't know about anyone else, but I've not heard anything about it until I saw this application,
No, I
so.
saw it in the paper.
Well, in the paper, but
And then they had the sign outside about the zoning change.
I guess what I mean is I didn't hear of any complaints, no one personally.
No, I
Give me or
didn't-
say,
I
that's what I
didn't
meant,
hear
because
I
we all
didn't
get,
hear any complaints
sometimes over, it just happens, that no one said.
Yeah, I didn't hear of any complaints
Yeah,
either.
okay.
I don't think we're giving you a decision tonight because we have to work on whatever type of special, conditions
yeah.
that we're going to be doing.
I think it'd be nice if you could come back with the revised plans that show the
Especially with
parking
the parking.
spaces and
Yep.
all that stuff.
And try to keep as much out of the 100-foot that you can.
And that would give us time to come up with some good special conditions, which we already discussed, there'll be no
Absolutely.
surprises, but, we do this quite often, and maybe by the next meeting, if you can show us the revised plans, we can get, tweak, to show us, and,
And if you can include, what you said up front was probably one of the most important things to me was the access for the fishermen, because they've been fishing there forever. If you can include what you're gonna do there too.
Absolutely, and again, I apologize for it being kind of a last minute
That's
thing.
okay.
No, you did a great
DEP got to
job.
us
You
literally
really did a thorough job.
today
but
on
you
it,
did a
so.
fantastic
Because of the
job.
shortness, again, and in light of the things that came up here, it would be in everyone's best interest to hopefully move
Absolutely.
forward with this, to come to the next meeting and have
And
that
maybe how you would
information.
address the lease or things like that to ensure that, to make us feel warm and fuzzy, I think that would be great.
I mean,
Especially in
Absolutely.
January.
Yeah.
feel warm
I mean,
and fuzzy.
but we learned a lot. We learned what we can do with the zoning permit. I mean, I think the sum total of everything, I think, could make it this definitely a workable piece. We just gotta give us some time to get our end done, and then you can come in with a revised plan. But I think by next meeting, we can, come to a,
We wanna work with you.
yeah, oh, absolutely.
We want you to be in there, we want you to have a business.
Thank you, I also want to work with you guys too. And also on the lease, when I propose the lease, you want to go talk to the town, or you want me to put those, certain rules or regulations?
The town will have to be
Yeah.
notified for any new
So,
tenant, so that should be in there
what you can do to help
as
us is that, because, you're dealing with the tenants, so if anyone comes in, it's your standard condition. You say, look, gotta talk to our town, town manager, and then you have to,
But to help cover you
Town
as well,
planner.
if you put all the restrictions in on that lease agreement, then it will help you too.
because
You
that
wanna
way, if
protect
someone,
yourself,
if
too.
it's spelled out and somebody violates, I hope that doesn't happen, but it protects you legally too, because you can say, hey, look, I spelled it out to you, I gave you a written document, told you what you could and can't do, because I'm sure most people are really responsible. Obviously, you sound like a very responsible owner, but it just protects everyone, the town, and it protects you, so it's good that we fine tune this and, get it to where,
I
we're all
agree.
comfortable with it.
Yeah, because we want you to be protected too.
Yeah. All right, very good, then maybe have a motion to table it, then we can discuss.
So I'll make a motion to table, I don't have the
Application
agenda.
2023-8, 734th
Forest
Road.
Road, right, site plan,
To the next meeting.
okay, which would be in January. Okay.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. All right, thank you, we appreciate all your input and everything, and, like I said, we'll get some things done, hopefully. Very good.
No, I could-
Okay, we're gonna move on to new business, item B, application 2023,
This one
20
confuses me.
10, 66 and 72 Notch Hill Road. Site plan lot line adjustment and construction of shared driveway within the upland review area for the construction of a single-family houses on the two lots. Owner, Con Home Tech, LLC applicant, Richard D'Antonio Jr.
Yeah, this is.
Good evening. My name
Identify
is,
yourself, sir, and proceed.
sure, thank you. My name is Jim Galligan. I'm the president of Naples and Young Engineers right here in Northford, and I represent Mr. D'Antonio on this application. We have no pesticide storage, no chemical storage. and
Glad you got that out of the way.
And we're not on the Farm River. So, the subject application is a little unusual. There are two existing lots here already.
Actually, could you just turn that a little this way?
Yeah.
That way all the members, actually the other way, I'm sorry, yeah, okay.
All right, you're fired.
We have an outlawed sense of humor, so it's all right.
By the way, I like your stand. That's a
Yeah.
nice stand you brought in.
Well, we've had it for probably 30 years. It's done its job.
That's all right. Okay, you
So-
can proceed, sir.
So the application, there are two existing lots here. And the location of the, I work better on my feet. The subject lot, the parcel's located on Notch Hill Road, right across from the second, I call it the second entrance from Ledgewood. It's almost all the way down to Bill Miller's. And it's where there's a gas company easement that crosses the property.
And the power
there's-
lines.
and there's an electrical easement that crosses the property. As you drive down there, you look over, you'll see a spot where it's all been cleared.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the subject parcel. We had the parcel wetland flagged by a soil scientist, and he identified two individual but in close proximity wetland pockets. There's a wetland area over across the street here, and then there's a culvert that goes underneath the highway, and then comes onto the subject property, and then runs north, and it ends up entering into the Munger Brook system at some point in time. And right adjacent next to it is just a small wetland pocket. It's just a wetland soil, nothing in particular special about it. We've gone through several iterations, or this parcel has gone through several iterations over the years in an attempt to try and get the 2 houses built on the 2 lots. What we have here is the proposal for the 2 houses up here. We're proposing to put the houses all the way at the top, way away from the wetlands. And we're combining the driveway so that there's only one driveway that comes down. But this line in here is the 100-foot setback. So you can see we go right through the 100-foot setback. And this little wetland pocket is basically right next to the driveway. What we've done here on this particular plan is we have the houses located, the septic systems are located up here outside the 100-foot buffer. The driveway comes down. We have a subsurface drainage system, infiltrator system, to collect the increase in runoff that comes off the driveway, reintroduce that water into the groundwater, reintroduce the water, any of the first flush or any of those things to go into the infiltrator system, and then that overflow for that comes over and discharges back to this wetland here, so it's not starved from any wetlands, any of the rain, the construction and the rainwater, finds its way back to the wetland pocket as it exists today.
Excuse me, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
That pocket, what's the diameter of that, do you know?
It's probably 60 feet by 100 feet, maybe.
Oh, okay.
It's a small little pocket. I'm going to go backwards if I can. This is a plan that was approved back in 2001. 2001. I apologize for the lack of clarity, but it's not my plan.
Get up close. I can't see that at all. Sorry.
That was before computers, right?
Yeah.
That looks like one of my old Xeroxes when I first.
This is the roadway system down in here, and the houses up in here. And at that time, they proposed, it came down, this is actually a plan that was approved by the Wetlands Commission back in 2001 and has since expired. But they proposed to come down, actually put a culvert right in the wetlands, go the driveway right across the wetlands, and come right out to Munger Road. Obviously, that approval's expired. I show you this because we looked at this in our attempt to find a reasonable and prudent alternative, which is what we feel we have. We don't feel that this one was a reasonable, prudent, not by today's standards anyways.
It definitely is an improvement over that original.
A couple of other options that came up to us. Again, this plan was done by somebody else, but we have access to it. Here again are the 2 houses, and then this proposal, they brought 2 driveways down, and they ran them right through the little wetland pockets.
Which is soil. You said it's not it's not a pond or intermittent waterways.
Yeah,
it's
it's
wetland
just
soil.
wetland soil. Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah. If you look at the wetlands report, it just calls it wetland soil.
Just curious.
And was the idea to just fill it in?
Yep, that's what the idea was, to just fill it in. So over in here is where that other option was. They moved this plan over to here to try and get away from having to do the culvert work. We didn't really think that was a reasonable.
What year was that?
I don't know the answer to that.
Oh, it's okay. I was just curious, that's all. It's not relevant. I was just
Yeah,
nosy.
I'll call it quite a while ago. This plan's rotated, so if you can understand again that this is Notch Hill Road out here. Up in here now are the 2 houses. We did this plan here, and the purpose of going with this plan is what we wanted to do is bring the driveway as far out away from the wetlands as possible. We took that plan to DOT because we're going to need to get a driveway permit for this location. We had combined the two houses for one driveway, I brought it down. The problem is I'm only getting 270 feet of sight line to the right.
They said no, right?
And they said, we want 500.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, we're like, well, we really can't get 500. We've got, you know, we've got some restrictions. So they said, you got to come back with a different option.
On the left.
So,
And if you look to the left, there's a huge clearing with the electrical line.
So this plan here, although it doesn't get me 500 feet, it only gets me 480 feet, they said, okay, you know, we can see that you are trying to achieve the goal, is what we're proposing for you tonight. And recognizing that the driveway is close, no question about it, is close to this little pocket here. What we tried to do is comply with all the varying forces that are opposing each other, if you will, and come up with a plan that gives us the sight line that is safety for the homeowners. It keeps us from doing any crossing and filling the wetlands. This has no fill in the wetlands at all. It also has a treatment drain that allows the surface runoff to get into the infiltrators, get into groundwater recharge. It also eliminates, you know, the fellow before me was talking about the oils and all those things from the road. All those get to be recharged and then discharged into the small pocket. This small pocket then drains into this brook, which runs out this way. So that's the gist of the application. I did just get tonight the town engineer's comments, and I thought they were all excellent comments. So we would gladly incorporate all those comments. I guess I'm at a point now where I'm ready to field questions.
So it looks like, no, I mean, first of all, you said the state committee actually was actually reasonable. That's amazing in itself.
I didn't say they were reasonable. I did not say that, right? Did we say that, Rich?
I'm saying that was the most.
The applicant's ears are burning back there when we said the.
All right, but obviously this plan is a definite improvement over the other couple we looked at.
Yeah,
you know, challenge.
It really is our.
You would have moved the driveway if you were allowed, and I understand.
Yeah, it really is our charge to try and find a reasonable and prudent, and these other options, you know, they solve somebody else's problem, but they really aren't prudent as far as it comes when it comes to the wetlands commission.
So just the driveway, I assume approximately how wide it'll be. I assume it'll be paved, but it'll just be a single driveway.
Yeah. Single driveway. It's all paved. All this. It was one of the questions that Victor had. It's all going to be paved, and it's also pitched to the side so that the surface runs.
Sheet off, yeah.
And then Victor has asked for a couple of check dams on this side, which I think is a great suggestion. And it's paved all the way down to the street.
So in other words, I read his his suggestions, and they're very good.
Very good. Absolutely, yeah. Every one of them, sure.
Adherence is part of our any application, which is what we commonly do. Okay.
Now, I'm not seeing the reason, I suspect there is one, why you haven't been able to bring it out directly across from Ledgewood Road.
Well, the biggest thing is that there's a brook here. And that was that first application that was the one with the.
You filled it in?
No, it's a little brook.
That's this plan here. The only problem is that they're gonna fill the wetlands, fill that small wetlands, culvert the brook, and fill in the wetlands to do it.
So if you went below there, you'd have to build a bridge or a culvert or something, right?
So moving it further to the south gets away from the wetlands.
Way from the, yeah.
But going to the north, you didn't get to the other side
Well,
of the wetland?
this wetland runs all the way. This is a brook that runs right out and continues on. So anywheres in this area here, we would have to culvert and cross.
Should be more.
That's a good plan.
Yeah.
We got there.
Considering that wasn't really an option either, because that would be more. There would be more, more disturbance of the water course.
Yeah.
And
which we
where-
never like, but.
Yeah, where actually is the property line between these two lots? Is the driveway on it?
It's been a lot line revision.
Yeah. There's an element that I skipped over, okay? Here is the,
Because there has to be right away, right?
there is the division of the two lots. We are going to be going through the zoning process to get a minor lot line revision so that the septic systems are on each individual lot. But this parcel is divided like this right now.
So will the lot line then go through the center of the driveway all the way down?
It does not. No, it does not.
Oh.
So there's cross easements from lot number 1 to lot number 2, and lot number 2 to lot number 1.
So just curious, this is well
They
or
better be nice
water?
neighbors.
There's city water there, isn't there? Or no, you?
No, these are all on septic and well.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. I just was curious, just.
It's gonna be a long driveway to plow.
So,
It is, but and to be honest, I insisted on it being paved because it's about a 7 or 8% grade. It's a long road. We've all gone by.
Yeah, oh, no,
We've all gone by the streets and driveways that on a rain like we had the other day, and half the driveways in the road.
I'd rather have one paved shared driveway than have two separate paved
Yeah,
driveways, so
yeah.
it's still an improvement over what normally probably would have happened on this site, so.
And the bottom end of here is widened just a little bit, so that if somebody can pull in, if somebody's coming down, there's open space for them to pass each other.
Let's go right above it, yeah.
So the driveway's only gonna be wide enough for one car?
Well, it's 18 feet. It's 18 feet.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's wide enough for two.
I wouldn't want to put a culvert and leave enough.
So where's the power line?
Oh, the power line.
The electrical easement goes like this.
If you look at the existing conditions,
no, this is the gas
That's the
one.
gas.
yeah, if you look at the existing conditions map,
This is the.
one of the easements is here.
Oh,
That's
I
the
see.
power easement.
I see up here, gotcha.
And then this is the gas easement.
Okay.
So are there actually high voltage lines?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So is this house under the line?
No, they're over here.
They're over there.
One over there,
Just on
one
the
over in
outside
here.
of the
Okay.
easements.
And what's it?
Close though.
Yes.
And what exists right now in the gas easement? Are there pipes
Yeah,
buried?
oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a transmission line.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be one house here and one house here. One near the power
Yeah.
lines, one by the.
One of the easements runs through here.
This one
You know,
better
the other one
not
runs
dig.
through here.
That's the only thing I have to say.
No storing of ammonium nitrate.
No, that one
Right,
better
that's
not
right,
dig.
like I
They
said, I
need to
got
have an outside
no
bonfire.
chemical storage, no salt storage, none of the,
So can you imagine having an outside bonfire?
These two lots have been around for a long time. There actually were originally 3 lots, and they were consolidated into 2 lots.
Really?
And one of the zoning regulations in creating a new lot is that you have to be able to have a 150-foot square on a lot
right.
somewhere.
Is that for R40? R40.
R40, right, yeah.
And you can't have the square be in the easement.
in the easement.
So you do have a square on one of those
Yep.
lots with the lot line change, but it's under the power line, so it can't be approved by the zoning enforcement officer. So there was a variance granted to this property by the ZBA 10, 15 years ago, and it was appealed by the next door neighbor to the Superior Court, who agreed with,
The
did
town.
not agree with the plaintiff. And then it was appealed to the appellate court, who switched it. And then it went to the Superior Court, who said the variance was okay. And it's law case Vine versus North Branford, which is a rather infamous Supreme Court decision in zoning.
Interesting. So there's a history here then. It was
Yeah,
just not a simple division of.
It's not infamous to us, it's famous to us because it ended up in our,
Gotcha.
yeah, it ended up, famous to us because it ended up in our favor.
Yeah, right.
That's right, he's absolutely right,
Good
yeah.
point, yeah.
This is Vine.
Yeah.
This is the lot.
Yeah, yeah.
So the plans, so we have all the plans
Yeah.
from back then.
Yeah,
Good. Well, no, it was good to see the history. I mean, it was very educational because now I understand why you came to where you are now.
Yeah.
Because it probably is the, proven alternative to any of the other options. And of course, the state kind of told you where to move the driveway, so.
Well, and we've been working on this for, what, 8 months, 9 months?
Yeah.
Back and forth, so. think it works.
Yeah.
Looks like it does to me, too.
Yeah. So if everyone is in agreement and we're okay with it, then I think, do
Yeah.
we have a motion, David?
As long as the engineering,
I gave you
Oh,
some.
we want to add that as a special, adhere to the recommendations of the town engineer,
Yeah,
absolutely.
those would be excellent. They're all
Yeah.
excellent comments.
That's fine, so. Draft motion, yes, I see it right here.
that has nothing to do with us.
Pass these down. Oh. 20 dash for 2023-10, yep. This is the other one, yes.
Did you take one?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the right one. Yes, I think it is.
Yeah, it is, it's, yeah,
Yep.
I got that. So we just need to add, so if we want to, because maybe, I was gonna say, Ashley's so good at writing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's about time we break
Well, I
you in,
take my
Bob.
copy. There you go, sorry. Marie, I always forget to pass what you're
Why a
doing.
bond on this?
Which?
Oh, you got two documents.
I think they have extras over there.
You got, there's a whole bunch.
David,
yeah.
why is a bond required on this?
We also like to get a bond.
We don't always ask for one, though.
Maybe we should though, maybe it's a good
Yeah,
idea.
seriously.
Dave, the soil erosion control bond?
There's a bond.
Soil erosion
Number five.
control bond? Yeah, that's
I
standard.
think it's a good idea, I think it gives us a little extra clout.
And so we need to add 10, that include the,
Special condition, yeah, if you want to add that, Ashley, that'd be great, since you,
Let's see, we did this in 15 minutes. What are you adding in?
to include the engineering
it's well
report
prepared, and
and
you got your alter.
The Irish bull slinger, you know?
recommendations.
Sorry?
The Irish bull slinger, you know?
You've been around, you've been done this before, I take
Yeah,
it, right?
you can tell by the color of my hair, I did it at least once, right?
Not your first rodeo.
Yeah, that's
So you
right.
haven't, you haven't been in front of us at all, I don't think, have you?
Oh, yeah, I've been here many times. I just haven't been, it's probably myself, Davey usually comes here instead of me.
I remember a couple times, I mean, you're right, it's been a while, because I've been here, I'm a fossil, I've been here forever, but I do remember, yes, I remember.
You've been here since 2001, when that last permit was?
I have to feign, a little dementia, because I have to go back. I'm honest, I don't fully remember that
I
one,
was
so.
gonna say, bad job.
I think I was out sick that
Oh, goodness.
Because I don't remember.
I honestly
seeing
don't
it.
remember that, I'll have to, I don't know, anyway.
Okay, give me a sec here. Through 6.
Do you want to do that?
Bob, you gonna try, or?
Oh, I have no issue reading it, I'm just reading it right now to make sure I want to read it. One question, it's gonna sound a little bit silly, but in federal government circles, lawyers have told us for years we're not supposed to use shall, we're supposed to use must. Believe it or not, in the federal government, that's what they use. So in our world here, shall is still acceptable, correct? Very good.
I think so, yeah, right.
I didn't agree with that federal government decision, but
I
I
agree, no,
don't
that's
run the federal government.
good point, though, but you have that insight, so you know how to,
Opportunity to, you can always throw your hat in the ring.
they're not a
So we
reasonable
want to
organization.
So you don't have to read everything, all you do is say standard conditions 1 through 9, and then special condition, you're gonna do this one down here, number 10.
Yeah, so basically.
Me, if you ask me, I would find it
All
strong.
right, so I will make this motion.
Okay,
I move to approve IWWA application number 2023-10, lot line adjustment and construction of shared driveway within the upland review area at 66 and 72 Notch Hill Road for construction of single-family houses on the 2 lots. For a vote of the commission, this was determined to be a significant activity.
no,
Not to be.
no.
Not to be a significant activity. Thank you. The following materials were considered as part of the record of this application. Application for inland wetlands permit dated December 1st, 2023, and an 8-sheet drawing set lot line revision plan 66 and 72 Notch Hill Road, North Branford, Connecticut. Revision dated November 30th, 2023 by Napas and Young Engineers. With the following conditions, the standard IWA conditions 1 through
9,
9,
and then
and
special.
then Condition number 10,
Special condition.
special conditions include the engineer's report dated December 13, 2023.
1 through 6.
Items 1 through 6.
Second.
Great, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, thank you.
If you think about it, that the reasonable prudent alternative is assisted like as well.
That's, you're right, yeah. And you know, it was nice that you had a couple of past ones that probably obviously weren't as good as what you came up with, so we appreciate it. Makes your job easier, and ours, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to move on to item 6, which is the Wetland Enforcement Officer's Report. We've got items A, B, and C. The first one being violation at 213 Forest Road.
Oh, sorry, was that too heavy of a sigh?
That's right. It's
I have spoken with him, and he will not do anything without any permit. He will be here before he does.
Wow.
You mean anything more?
Correct.
So let me get, it kind of shocked me. So he's actually
I know,
agreeing
we're
with
like,
what we
what?
want. He's actually going to follow what you're telling him.
They call him every week.
You're his best buddy, I'll tell you. I don't know what you're doing, David, but it's working.
Hi.
Because I'm telling you, we never got that kind of response from him in what, 7, 8 years? But thank you. That's great news. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
32 Cyril Road is on hold until we get some sort of site plan.
I assume there's no
Your mic
activity.
is not working, David.
Bring the mic closer.
Bring the mic closer to you, he can't hear you. Thank you.
32 Cyril Road is on hold, waiting for a site plan.
Okay.
I have not really followed up on the enforcement tools. We talked about the citation. There was a blight presentation to the council last meeting. I think we may try to wrap the citation concept up with the blight issue at the same time. I think there's a little concern from the council about an overreach of the town in terms of regulating a farming community.
Can I just say something on the document I sent you? That was a early draft. And so, and there was a gentleman that used to be, I forgot his title, I know his name, Tom. They used to work here that was supposed to follow up on it. Nothing ever happened because he had a medical condition. But some of the items that were discussed at the town council meeting, like having police officers involved, that was removed from later draft because we all agreed the police officers should not be involved. And the other thing was and I didn't have that anymore. That's the problem. I got rid of all the things I had. But the other piece was that we were trying to make a heartfelt ordinance, not something that was, going to be miserable to the residents, but one that was going to be, because we know some people, they just can't do it, maybe because of age or illness or whatever. We were trying to make it heartfelt, and like I said, I'm repeating, but we didn't think it was appropriate for a police officer, for example, to go to a home and try to enforce it, because that's not their job. And we hadn't worked out how to do that yet. And also, it's very, you see a police officer come to your house, it's like, oh my gosh, it's different. So we didn't want that to happen. So I just wanted you to know. So I apologize. I thought I guess I wasn't clear that was a real early draft.
Oh, and I think they presented a similar draft.
Oh, okay.
At the meeting 2 weeks ago. I've been the blight enforcement officer in a number of different towns, and that's sort of the most nasty regulation I've seen put out there.
I'm not.
There are a lot. better ones. And-
Yeah,
and
yeah,
So
and
I've talked to the town manager and shown him a few other ones, and we'll get there.
What I recall is we based it on what East Haven had done. So we went to East Haven, took their blight ordinance and revised it. But again, like I said, I apologize for repeating, it was a real early draft, it was a work in progress. And the plan was that the zoning enforcement officer was, and it was a part-time position, I don't think it's ever been filled, was supposed to follow up on it. And that was the order he was given by the town council that night, because I was at that meeting, because I was part of the group presenting it. And nothing ever happened after that, and then COVID hit, and that was the end of everything. So, maybe Marie remembers, but that's how I remember it anyway. So I just want you to know that was not, we wanted a heartfelt, because some of the discussion items when we presented was, well, we don't want neighbors going after neighbors for the grass being a quarter of an inch too high, stuff like that. And that was not the intent. The intent was more of a storage of junk and hoarding and stuff like that. Abandoned cars, junk like that. It wasn't supposed to be getting goofy with grass height, so.
But if it's due to the inability of the person to take care of these matters due to whatever, I would think that the community could come together and help these people.
Well, that was what the thought was. The thought was that we'd reach out to churches, like our church does it. We'd reach out to churches or things like that to have volunteers go and, or even community service projects for the high school kids. That was the intent. It wasn't to be miserable to the community. And if I remember correctly, there wasn't anything in there for farms. We did not include farms.
Farms were left out.
Farms were left out, right. Because we understand it's a different animal, we wouldn't do that.
It's late.
But that's gonna come, I'm sure that's coming up at the next town council meeting. Because it was going to the attorney first.
Oh, okay, well, that's good. So it's moving along. That's good, as long as
There are some concerns, like as far as.
right. I just think that it's good to have it, like Frank said, we don't want a harsh document, but you can't address anything in town if you don't have something written. If you have something written, then David could go and, talk with an owner, and it gets the ball rolling.
A big part of that is who's going to enforce it all.
True.
Right.
It's true.
Yeah, and I think all of us, the night that we had the meeting way back when, all agreed it should not be the police department. And,
Right.
And, we were thinking more of this zoning enforcement officer we had at the time. I think that's how we were thinking of it, more, low-key approach. Because there were issues of hoarding. You can drive around town, there's ice cream trucks in people's yards being used as storage bins. There's all sorts of stuff around town. That's what we were trying to.
It's a great tool, and there are certain situations that I've seen that I would like to have the blight tool. I can't do anything about it.
No, you're right.
Let me ask you a question on that. About a month or so ago, we talked about the removal of that creeping bamboo on Arthur Street or Arthur Road, whatever that was. They took it down, remember that?
Yep.
You drove by, you noticed it, right? So what we're talking about would address not that. We're talking about perhaps the home that's 3 doors up from the guy that had the bamboo. The woman just doesn't do any maintenance on her property, and the trees grow into the road. That would address that, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because we had.
And
But that's a health safety issue,
You know the house I'm talking about, right?
Correct.
Trees grow right into the road. She doesn't do anything.
And my job as a zoning enforcement officer frequently is to get people to do what they don't want to do. And the same is true with the blight situation. And usually you try to entice them to do it, and you talk to them, and hopefully they'll come around. But at some point you can issue a citation, which is a citation. It's not a financial penalty until you actually give them the financial penalty.
Right.
So writing a letter once a week and saying, now your bill is $500. the next week you say, now your bill's $1,200, you don't actually have to enforce that. But it's certainly nice on the letterhead to send that out.
Yeah. It gets their attention, hopefully.
It gets their attention, yeah.
Because they know at some point.
If you do it every week.
Because, if you get your town attorney involved, there's a potential to go to court, and it's not, wouldn't be good for anyone, actually, but
That's
certainly
right,
not,
but you
certainly not the
actually-
homeowner. It's gonna cost them either way for court, for fees or,
Well, and then they fix it and you don't find them.
Right, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to change behavior, not really
Exactly.
punish anyone, and if you can do that through a blight ordinance, My big thing is just unregistered vehicles. We all know there's houses, it's one thing to have one that you're working on or a project, but, it's.
Well, that's a zoning violation.
Right. Well, I know that's actually already, technically, that's already a zoning violation, but still, that can, to me, it crosses over into blight when you have a ton of vehicles just sitting there in someone's yard and they're, not paying taxes on it, but it's,
Whole junk, lawn mowers.
Yeah, it could be a variety of motorized vehicles, and there's always a chance of things rust, you get oil, you get fuel spill, it's just.
And then there's people who have, their junk. It's good junk. And they can go out and tell you what it is, and they actually have it, in little piles.
pickers
And
there.
and it's difficult to say, that's, for me, to say that's junk when.
True. And if it's off the road and no one can see it, I'm sure a lot of people have that, it's only the stuff that gets seen that obviously people.
Well, if you can't see it from the road.
You can't, right, it's not an issue, it's really.
Plus it's creeping up to somebody else's.
Well, I appreciate the
That could
discussion.
happen.
I gotta tell you, I've enjoyed my time. I moved into this town 4 years ago, and it's a wonderful community, it really is. And anything we can do to keep this unique, I think the town is very unique, and I think good stewardship is important. We got something kind of special here, and I'd like to keep it that way, so I like this discussion.
And we appreciate you joining our commission, because now, we have another person that can help us, with our mission. All right.
There are some changes proposed at the new high school
Ooh.
that we briefly discussed, and they are, basically, they've moved the parking lot, they're proposing to move the parking lot to the north of the new building. This is sort of a before and after. It's close to the wetlands, but they haven't actually changed or
Distance
encroached
from?
into the wetlands any more than they currently are.
So is the before the one on top and the after below, or the opposite?
This is before, this is revised.
Did they give a reason?
Well, the major reason on the north side was
Yeah.
the original plan. Look at the next one. They had parking lot, practice field,
Yes, I
parking
remember
lot.
there was discussion about that.
And now they want to do parking lot, practice field. And these are the wetlands down here. So they're not really, the drainage is a little bit different, but it's all.
Wait a minute, you want continuous parking now instead of boom, boom, right? What they want to do?
Yeah, originally they had parking, practice parking.
Yeah.
And now it's
just
parking
contiguous.
practice.
So look on the,
So they had this
Right.
originally.
Actually,
They had
moving away
this
from the
in
wetland.
between, and then they had parking up here.
Okay.
Now they're moving it, so
I think it's an
parking.
improvement
I can tell you off the
from what I'm
bat,
seeing.
that's gonna save on maintenance,
Yeah.
that's gonna save on maintenance costs.
That might be,
Up here, the building committee meeting,
if I'm not mistaken, or is that the footprint?
that's probably one of the reasons they did it.
This is the footprint of the new building, right?
no, this building's down here.
Or down here, right. What are these?
Absolutely.
This is all the new, it's just circling the new parking area.
Just curious about
Yeah, but
these
where is the
squares
second
that are
first?
put here.
Oh, here's the football field, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna
So,
say,
I-
This is the wet, this is the wet from here.
I believe the hockey field is right on the corner, right, somewhere in here, but anyway, yeah.
Here's my question, is this de minimis?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, there's no impact to wetlands, right?
That's what
There's no
Steve and I had
change
this-
in the footprint, it looks like, from what we had already approved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The major change on the
It looks like
southern
a slight
part
improvement to me, but that's.
is that they had this, this walkway, and they had like this little platform out here. And now they're actually putting a walkway across from the school, so you can actually walk across. And they're adding a sidewalk, which just sort of makes sense rather than this
But that
interior
sidewalk is, no, it's no impact either. Okay.
Yeah, it's all
It's
stopping.
outside, okay.
Well, I think this is the final
Where's the
phase.
parking on this?
So it's from
This is
this
all down towards.
Okay, so it's beyond the intermediate
If you see,
school?
they got the,
Oh, okay.
there's kind of three phases. The first two are done, if you see the.
This goes out on the Caputo.
This is the final.
This is Caputo?
So they had time to
So no,
obviously,
this is,
you know,
this is
make
the,
changes before
over
they
here.
paved there and did all this, right?
Fox and Rose, like.
Hang on a second, here's the auditorium, so
Police
it's up
station,
here.
I can't believe how big that's gonna be.
It's on this side, in the parking.
It's impressive.
Yeah, it is. No,
What's the building, what's the part of the building now?
It is amazing.
Well, next phase two, there were originally three phases.
Did you
now
look
it's
at
just two
the
phases. So
proposed
the next phase will
change of the
finish off.
intersection of 22 and
Parking is this
17
way.
in Northford?
Oh, okay.
You
And then
you
he's saying
emailed that
also
to us,
this
Yes.
was the original
Did I send you that?
overview.
I think I saw that, yeah, yeah.
So they're building a new bridge
That's totally,
for kids to walk
It's more
directly
planning and zoning, right?
across to it,
it was a road safety audit.
so that they don't have to be hit by buses.
Well, that makes
I think it's
sense.
about time.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good thing.
We have a
So did they ever
$50,000
take care of
grant.
that fire hydrant
Oh,
being
good.
in the wrong spot?
You know, it's been months. You can't blame me anymore.
Fix it, that's,
I'm
no,
not sure
I
what
think it's a
to do.
great
We're
idea.
gonna do enough design work so we can apply for a $800,000 community grant to actually do it.
That'd be awesome. Then get, you're right, it needs to be
Then
done.
over time.
Yeah, that's it, yeah, no.
May take a while.
Now, you had that gray hair before you came, Bruce, you can't blame that on us.
Yeah.
Although we probably added a few.
That's where we have the most rotation in this department.
So that change in parking will make it easier for maintenance, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Going out, coming back.
It makes sense. It looks like a minor improvement and without much impact for the wetlands. So
I'm for
hopefully
anything to
it'll-
help our maintenance guys.
Yep.
David, do you know offhand the date of the March meeting? This next year?
It was.
I don't have it.
It was given to us.
I know, I
Yeah,
have it
it's
at
in our-
home.
Hold on, I have it, I'll look for
You're
it.
not gonna be here?
I'm not
I
gonna be
have it.
here for sure for January and February. I may be back for the March meeting, depending on
No,
the
I
date.
didn't enter them yet.
I have it.
And then
hold
I'll
on.
be here for a while,
Because
but I
usually
don't,
it's the fourth Wednesday of every month, so.
It's
unless
March
a holiday.
it's March
The
27th.
last week of March, right?
March 27th, I will be here,
Okay, good, good.
yeah.
Wait, we didn't adjourn yet.
But I'm gonna miss two.
It's all right.
I don't know if I can call in, I don't think.
I doubt it.
I don't
No,
think so.
don't, we didn't even
I
bother.
think,
Yeah, I wouldn't even
yeah,
bother.
don't worry about it.
We'll get Bill.
I don't wanna throw
Yeah, we'll give,
I'll give this one back.
well, we got Bob now, too. We can have Bob for
It's a shame to
long
get
as
rid of
well,
it.
so.
Use them when
What?
it's here.
Let's talk about whether I would be reassigned or
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I move to adjourn?
they call.
I got to drive all over town dropping them off.
All in favor?
No second.
We need a second.
Yeah,
Now, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Meeting adjourned.
never mind, Siri, that's
Well,
not
Merry
your business.
Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you.